the fact is we are in an inflationary period, a hugely worrying inflationary period. The minimum wage is going up in January. We know that that's happening. We're not sitting here talking about the price of pints and the price of fags. We're talking about people who have got kids going to primary school, secondary school, bus measures. We've got the third level students being brought in now. No one's going to pay more than €2,000 when they're going. We've got pensioners. So many things are being brought into this. And they're also, so it's 7 billion, then 3 billion, the mini budget. And then they're keeping this rainy day fund because when I'm out chatting to people, people are like, oh God, Mary Lou's great. This is fantastic. But the question is, how are we going to pay for it all? And it's a question all the time. And do you not think with COVID just after happening that we need a buffer, that we don't know what's going to come with the war?
Nobody's, and our proposal recognises that you need a balanced budget, that you need to work to a surplus where possible. But look, you can't have it both ways. Like the state and the government can't, on the one hand, brag about the big surplus that's being generated and then say to families and communities that are struggling, we're going to let you struggle on. A lot of money is going to be spent today. The question is the intelligent, smart, thoughtful spending of it. So let me give you another example of something that I've heard. Okay. Let me just say this, Tommy, that I thought, well, I'm not sure about that approach. The personal taxation package, the government will say, we're moving the ban, so you're not going to pay at the higher rate till a later point. Great.
40,000.
OK. But the reality is that 3/4 of taxpayers will be left behind in that measure because 3/4 of workers in the Irish economy, people on 20-odd grand, 30-odd, don't pay at that higher level. We had proposed a different approach. We had proposed slashing the USC, the Universal Social Security. And if you do that, you get all taxpayers and you do it in a way that's even-handed and fair. So I am concerned that in the spending of huge sums of money, that the absolute test of fairness has not been met.
I just don't understand where the money is coming from, though, because, we're seeing this money, the money that they're spending today, 10, 11 billion. Sinn Féin are proposing 13 to 14, an extra 3 to 4 billion. Where in government are you finding this money?
But Tommy, the state is running. Last budget, the prediction was that we would run a deficit.
But they do have to, because we don't know. If Russia were to cut off the gas completely, you have to have money there in case something was to go wrong. OK,
well, first of all, as you know, we don't rely on Russian gas. We get our gas from carbon.
It will all correlate.
But of course, the world is at a very difficult point. But just also remember, the state now runs a surplus. We're one of only 4 European states to run a surplus. They're projecting an even bigger surplus for next year. I'm not arguing for, careless spending of money. On the contrary, the contrary, we need to be very intelligent and thoughtful and fair about how we spend the money. I'm all for that. But I also know that there is money there and resources to be spent. So the question today, as we watch the budget unfold, is that the best use of money? What does it do for renters? What does it do for young workers? What does it do for young people? And from what I am hearing so far, these measures are not targeted in a way that, to my mind, meet the fairness assessment.
Right. And of course, I completely understand that. You're the leader of the opposition. But for once, I'm not sitting here today seeing, a two-parent family with 2 kids. They do seem to be looking at other things. We are operating at a surplus and we will operate at another surplus. But we're getting this from very few foreign direct investment companies that could pick up and leave tomorrow. So this is a surplus from huge companies that can leave. So we would never have that money. So if we spend all of our money now and then we're like, oh, we've given away all these taxes and we've got to hike them up again when they're gone and we're not getting this money from them anymore. Is that not why they need to go? We can't spend all the money that we get from them in case they go.
But first of all, there's no suggestion by anybody, and we shouldn't talk up a crisis that doesn't exist.
No, I do get
people.
that. Okay. But it is, I understand
but
that.
You make a fair point.
But I'm just saying it's not guaranteed money for the rest of our lives, and we do need to take taxation from citizens.
Well, I'm not arguing against that. We have to pay our taxes. People pay their taxes every single day. You're right to say that there is an imbalance in the economic model. The foreign direct investment is essential. We want it here. We want it to stay here. But you're quite right to say that we need to build the small and medium-sized enterprises, the smaller, and make them export-driven and so on. That needs to be sorted out. But today is budget day, and families and people who have waited and waited because they were told to wait now see the colour of the government's money. And from what we have heard thus far, on the issue of supporting renters, it's a fail by government. On the issue of delivering a fair personal taxation and giving people who earn 20-odd grand, 30 grand, a fair break, they're not meeting that requirement also. And critically for me, the issue of giving a level of certainty to people on their energy bills through what will be a long autumn and winter. They're not doing that in as effective and fair a way as I believe could be done.